What's up, Lancaster? This is Lancaster Connects. My name is Ben McClure. We are coming to you live from Gardner's Mattress and More. This is the business that my typical co-host, Jeff Giannakavo, and I own, and Gardner's is the sponsor of Lancaster Connects. Lancaster Connects is a show all about great people doing amazing things, wonderful things in Lancaster, in the Lancaster community. Got a great guest for today. We're going to bring him on. He's a high energy guy, and we're going to have a great conversation all about who he is and the cool things that he's got going on with some of the youth of Lancaster County. If you are a regular watcher of Lancaster Connects, you may have noticed a new introduction. Thank you to Chris Stone from Cast Ahead Productions for putting together the new Lancaster Connects intro video. We've got a new logo, new Lancaster Connects logo. It actually coordinates with the Gardner's Mattress and More logo, so it's congruent, right? So the Lancaster Connects new logo, new introduction. I think it's amazing. Thank you, Chris, for all the hard work that you put into this show behind the scenes. I think we have a new outro as well, so stick around. You can check that out. It's pretty much the same as the intro, just saying goodbye, right, instead of hello. But anyway, great day, great show today. It is February 3rd, 2025. There are ways that you can watch this show, different ways that you can watch a show. Often people are watching this on Facebook. If you're watching on Facebook, I'd love to see a thumbs up, maybe a love, heart. Give us the little emoji of your choice there on Facebook. Give us send us a message. If you have a question for our guest, you want to know something about them, you have a question for us here at Lancaster Connects, we'd love to hear from you, whatever it is during the show. So Facebook, you can catch us on the Lancaster Connects and Gardner's Mattress and More Facebook pages. Also on YouTube, both Gardner's Mattress and More and Lancaster Connects YouTube accounts, LinkedIn, is another place you can watch us. So definitely, if you haven't subscribed yet, go to YouTube, click the subscribe button. We're creeping close to 500 subscribers, which is fun. A few years ago when this started, we were at 0, right? So a number of you watch regularly, love the show, and we feel great when we can make these connections within our great community of Lancaster County here. Past episodes. This is episode 180. We're this year we're going to hit 200 episodes. It's a pretty cool milestone for us here. Episode 180 today. Past episodes are available, all of them, every single one of them, lancasterconnects.com/episodes. You can see all the past episodes. Of course, you can go to YouTube, search up Lancaster Connects on YouTube. It's also this is a podcast. It happens to be a video podcast that you can watch YouTube and Facebook, but you can also listen to it on all the podcast players. So Spotify, Apple Podcast, any place where you can listen to podcasts, you can listen to us. You don't just have to watch us as well, listen away. So I think. Oh no! One more course of business. If you'd like to be a guest on Lancaster Connects, we love telling again the stories of people doing amazing things in Lancaster County, nonprofit or charitable organization or community benefit organization, as we've been calling them recently, or a small business that gives back to their community in some way. That's what we do here at Gardner's. Gardner's Mattress and More is the business that Jeff and I own, and it's obviously the Lancaster community supports our business through the purchase of a better sleep system that can help them wake up happy every morning. That's what we do here. And this podcast is one of the ways that we give back through our Gardner's Gives Back initiatives. We have a perpetual food drive that we have our customers participate in. We donate to Off the Streets. We donate mattresses and bed frames and bedding accessories to Off the Streets, who help those in Lancaster County who don't have a home. They help them find a suitable home. So we feel great that we can help in that way. But Lancaster Connects is a vehicle for us to give back to the community by spotlighting, again, great people doing amazing things. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, Chris has it there on the screen, lancasterconnects.com/guest. Fill out a simple form. I think right now we're booked for about 2 months from now, booked through the middle of April, and the calendar is actually filling up quickly. Got a lot of great conversations we're going to have coming up with some nonprofits and charitable organizations here in the Lancaster community through mid-April or so. And again, if you'd like to be on the show, that's the way to do it. LancasterConnects.com/guest, fill out the simple form, and we will get you on the show. All right. Speaking of guests, I think we're ready. Let's bring on our guest today. We've got Reji Woods. Reji, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. So, I mean, we've got a lot to talk about. You're busy. You're a busy dude.
Yeah,
busy
super busy.
Yeah. So you're doing some cool things with the Ephrata Performing Arts Center, which we've had on the show in the past. We'll talk about that. I know you're doing some things with the theater department at Ephrata High School. We'll talk about that. But you are yourself, you're a performer, a musician. Let's talk about how you developed this passion for music and the arts and theater, and kind of how that started and what you do with your talents right here in Lancaster.
Yeah, it kind of all started when I was 9 years old. Oddly enough, my mom took me to see it was I think a touring show of West Side Story, and she had never gone to a play before, but she wanted to do something different. So she was like, "Let's get dressed. Let's get dressed up. I have a treat for you." And I was like, "Okay." So we got dressed up, went to the theater, both of us for the first time, and I sat and watched in awe of everything I saw. And I remember telling her at the end of that I was like, "I want to do that. I want to do that." And she was like, "Okay, all right, sure." But there was growing up in Florida, and growing up where we were, there weren't really a lot of opportunities for that for kids. So I never really got to do theater, but I did get to sing in church. So church choir was kind of how I learned. That year was actually the year that I learned I had a voice. And after going to the show, I went to the public library, which back in the day they had CDs and cassette tapes and that sort of thing. So I would go and get them from the library and listen and emulate what I was hearing. And then when my mom realized that I could sing after hearing me sing in my room, she was like, you can join the church choir. So I did that, and that was the start of it. And then once I got into high school, I got to do some theater, but I really didn't get into theater in depth until after I left for college initially. So
okay, that's a crazy story. So I mean, I love that you had no clue what your mom was taking you to. You just knew you had to get dressed, and you were going somewhere. Maybe
so
fun.
Put our Sunday's best and went down. So
that's so cool. And what was it about the show that you saw? I think you said it was West Side Story. Like, what was it?
You know what? I mean, it was for me. I think I was a TV kid. So growing up, it was like TV was everything. But to see it, it was like I'd walked into the television. So seeing it live was really kind of cool. And so I think that was what it was, because the moment it started with the fight, the dance battle kind of fight in the beginning, and from that moment I was hooked. And I think one of the biggest moments was watching the song Maria, because that was the big solo in the show, and just seeing someone stand and own the space, and it was just magical for me. I was like, wow. I was like, I don't know exactly what that is, but I want to do that, and it felt like I was in the television. So yeah.
That's cool. I also love that, I mean, I think you and I are probably similar ages, that today's kids, if they see something, they just pull up their device, their phone, and but you went to the local library and, I mean, showing a little bit of age, right? Got the cassette, right? The VHS and the cassettes, and watched and listened, and that developed the passion that way. I think that's so cool. I love it.
Yeah. So that's how I started. Yeah.
That's cool. So, you perform. Talk a little bit about how you perform, what you perform in, what you've been involved in from a theater standpoint.
Well, I originally went to college as a political science economics double major, and that I was good at it, but that wasn't where my heart was. And so when I was just about finished, I called my mom and was like, I want to go to school for theater, and she kind of like, okay, call me back. I was like, okay. I called her back and she had a couple questions about that. She was like, it's going to really make you happy. Do you see yourself doing this for your future? And I was like, yes, yes. And so she was like, all right, well, we'll make a deal, finish, come home, work for a year in your field, and whatever you say about match for you to go back to school for theater. And I was okay. So that was the deal. And then I actually ended up auditioning for a scholarship and ended up getting a full ride to the University of Central Florida Conservatory Theater. So I never had to pay for school for my musical theater schooler. Yeah. So I got to go immediately. I didn't have to wait. So that was great.
Yeah. I mean, I think theater is a whole lot more fun than the two majors you referenced. So,
well, in some ways, for me, honestly, I actually really did enjoy. I enjoyed political science and understanding how the world works, and understanding how the economy affects that. Like, I'm kind of a nerd on that side of things, but there was something about being able to stand in front of an audience and move that audience. Like I was moved when I was 9 years old. There's nothing like it. So that was where my heart was. And I think I found myself in the fine arts department more than I was in my own department when I was in college. So
yep. That can happen. So, how did you get to Lancaster? I'm curious about that from Florida.
So post graduation, I started working in theaters regionally, and I went to an audition called the UPTIS, which are the Unified Professional Theater Auditions that happen every year in Memphis. So I went to that, and it's really kind of cool because you go there and there's like 80, 90 companies that are sitting in an auditorium. And you get up there, you have your 90 seconds to do your song or your monologue. And then from there, they call you back. They'll call you back for their season or for roles in their shows if they have something that you fit. So I went to that audition, and Sight and Sound Theaters, which is right here in Lancaster County, was at that audition. And I was warned before going that they don't call a lot of people back. They're like, you gotta be good. They only really call like 4 or 5 people back. So don't have your hopes up for that one.
Don't get your hopes up.
Yeah. I was like, okay, well, cool. And it went into my thing, and I went and looked at there's a ballroom you go into, and all of the lists are on the walls, and Sight and Sound was there. And I looked, and my name was there. So I had my call back with them. And then I was, at the time, was working in Orlando at a theme park called the Holy Land Experience. And so I was there, and they were like, they called, and like, can you do an audition today? So I was on campus at one part of the day, and I did one audition. I pulled a friend of mine out of our commercials class. I was like, can you read with me? And they did. And then at my job later on, I was in the bathroom singing for my singing audition for Sound. And they offered me the job, but unfortunately it was March. I didn't graduate until May, and they wouldn't release me from school to go. So then I had to wait. And then I was working in Kansas and got a phone call from Sight and Sound asking if I was interested in auditioning. And so they actually flew me from Kansas to Lancaster to come and audition. And then I did get the job, and I was able to do it because I was out of school. So yeah,
that's cool. And what show did you do at Sight and Sound? Or shows?
Well, the first one was Psalms of David. And so I came and did that, and then I left and moved to New York. And I was in New York for about 5 years, full time. And then they called and asked me if I would come back and do the final year of Psalms of David. So I came in, I did the final year, and that was the year that the small theater was closing. So then I was like, okay, back to New York. And then so it was kind of cool because I was like, okay, well, I've gotten to come back. It was full circle. I ended up staying for 6 years. And during that time, I ended up meeting my wife, Audra, who's from the area. And so I kind of never really left. At one point, I was living half the week in New York and half the week here so that I could continue my career. But then I got involved more here in the theater community and started to teach. And I was like, well, this is just where I need to be. And so I officially moved full-time to Lancaster in 2016. So yeah.
That's cool. It's such a cool journey.
Yeah.
And besides, all kinds of fun and awesome theater productions, besides that, you've also been involved in some pretty high-profile TV shows. Is that right?
Yeah. My first official TV gig was on Orange Is the New Black. So I was and it was really neat how that, and there's a Lancaster connection to that too in a way. My agent got me the audition, and so I went in and I auditioned, and it was one of those things where I had to drive into New York for a 10-minute audition to drive back to teach that evening. And so I drove in, and she was like, I heard your agent said you were driving in from somewhere. I was like, yeah, from Lancaster. And I just finished the audition, and she was just like talking with me after. And I was like, yeah, Lancaster, PA. She was like, I spent my summers in Lancaster, PA. That's where my family vacationed. And we started talking about all the different landmarks and all the wonderful things about Lancaster. And so, I mean, like, I know that the work I did on camera got me the job, but I think that connection also like pushes you to the front of the list, I think. So it was a great conversation. And she was like, I'm actually bringing my kids to Lancaster this summer again. And so I was like, wonderful. So we had a great conversation there. And then so I got to do it. And then it was only supposed to be one episode, which I was more than happy about. Like, I was like, I'm going to be on a big show. And then I got an email from my agent, like, I want to say a month later. And he just forwarded me the email. He goes, they want you back on the show. And he forwarded me an email. And in it was just where one of the producers was saying, bring back the guy from episode 3 who was so orderly. And so I was like, whoa, okay, great, great. Yeah. And then that one was much more involved. And I got to work with Mackenzie Phillips, who was one of my mom's favorite actresses. And like our big scenes were together. So that was really cool. And Natasha Leone, which was awesome too. So yeah. So that was my first. And then I got to do The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Yeah. And that was a lot of fun too. Getting to work with Rachel Brosnahan and the whole cast was just so cool. But yeah.
Yeah. My wife watched that show. She actually just finished, I guess, the final episode of that. Just a week or two ago, she finished that. And I told her about you coming on. I'm like, yeah, he was on that show. And then I showed a picture from your website. She's like, yeah, I remember that scene. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was so much fun.
So I want to know, like, what is that experience like? So you go up there, you're driving, an hour and a half to New York City. Just getting there is probably a challenge, parking, all of that. For a 10-minute audition, and there's probably, how many other people are auditioning? Like, what's that like?
Yeah, it's really cool. Well, the first time I ever had to go to a film audition was kind of weird because I walked in and there were like 18 me's in the room. And I was like, this feels kind of awkward, but they were like similarly heighted, similarly sized, African-American men, like almost from the same facial hair. It was really kind of weird. But that's the difference with theater and film and television is that like there is definitely a type that they're wanting for each role. And so they cast their net out and different agents get to submit the people that they have in their stables that match that. And then they pick who they want to see. And then you go in and you give it a shot and you hope that you've given them what they wanted. And sometimes they'll give you direction and sometimes they don't. So you go do your best and then you hope to get that phone call.
Right. So you just have a script and you're kind of coming in with your own take
interpretation
on the part, right? So across 18 different people that are there that kind of, have the same look and build and everything as you, your performance, your tryout has to stand out, right?
Yeah. And one thing I will say to any young performer that is auditioning, and especially for film and television, do not be afraid before you do it to ask questions. Ask about if you have questions about the character. You don't want to spend an hour doing it, but you do want to, if you have any questions, and oftentimes I'll say, do you have any questions about anything? Don't be afraid to ask if there's something you don't understand. If you think there's a specific take they want on it, be willing to ask, but also then be flexible enough to make adjustments if that is what you have to.
That's cool. That's good advice. So, theater performer, TV star, and now you're producing and directing performances with a couple coming up within the next month or two. Let's talk about your career as a director.
All right. Well, I never thought that I would be directing, honestly. And then my mom, when I told her that one, she was like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, because I'm a performer. That is what I do, and I do the thing." And she was like, "Well, do you remember when you were 12 years old and you put together the entire Easter program at your grandma's church? Like you were like you were like, these people are gonna sing. This is the song you're gonna sing. You're gonna do this scene. You actually wrote a script." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I did. I did do that. I'd forgotten all about it." She was like, "You've been a director since you were 12. So I fully expected that would be a part of your future." I didn't. So it was kind of neat. So mom says it started at 12. For me, I think it officially kind of started for me with when I lived in New York. I had seen an article in the paper about why there was a question asked why weren't there enough African Americans on stage or what have you, and the person's response was, "Well, we can't. It's hard to find people. Like we can't find them." And I was like, all my friends, I could throw a stone and you have a great singer right there. And so we started. Me and three friends of mine started a cabaret group called Bending Threads. And it was the four of us. And it was kind of neat because it happened somewhat organically. And we had a soprano, an alto, a tenor, and a baritone. And so for about 3 years in New York, we produced shows. And that was when I really began to understand the other side of things. So we produced cabaret shows. I got to do a lot of the directing and some of the business side of it, while others had like the marketing side and the music direction side, that sort of thing. So we all, just as a team, we each took the other parts of what we do well and put it together. So we had a cabaret company in New York for like about 3 years. We still every now and again get together, and we're planning to have a reunion next year. So excited about that. And then coming here to Lancaster, I really didn't think I would direct because I was working consistently, and then I had gotten the opportunity from Prima Theater. One of their in one of their first seasons, I was asked if I would put together a show for January. Like, we just need a show for the month of January, and I was like, okay, great. And that was the first time I had produced the Motown, like a Motown review. And since then it's been shown multiple times, and it's happened in multiple versions here in the city and in Mount Gretna. As a matter of fact, summer we'll be back in Mount Gretna with our Motown group. But that was just kind of the start of it. And then I continued to direct for Prima. And then I got the opportunity. I started teaching at Kavad Performing Arts. And they have a theater as a part of that. And my great friend, Stan Dean, who I miss deeply. There's actually a movie about his part of his life, Brave the Dark, that's out now. Yeah, this Stan was a mentor of mine, and he had just passed away in the midst of a show, rehearsals of a show. And so I was asked by the executive director there if I would step in and direct that show. And so that was my first time getting to direct kids, because the cast was primarily kids. And that was just a wonderful experience. And I got to direct several shows there. And then it just started to like spread. The opportunities would come for me to direct, and I was like, sure, I'll take it. But a lot of what I do now is cabaret-inspired cabaret work. With Reji Woods Productions, we do cabarets and reviews throughout the year. We do a lot with Willow Valley. We love going there. It's like second home. And so we've been performing all of the different venues there. And then a lot downtown. For a number of years, we had a Portrait of a Lady series that was downtown Lancaster. And what it would be is every Sunday we would have every 2 Sundays. So for 2 Sundays we'd do an artist. So like, let's say Adele, we'd have 2 weeks of Adele. Celine, we have 2 weeks of Celine. And it was themed, and it was all women, because I worked with some incredible women here in Lancaster. And a lot of them just didn't have an opportunity to shine and perform a lot. And so that offered an opportunity for for that to happen. We had 4 summer seasons, and that was the Trust Performing Arts Center downtown. So that was directing and producing. That was great. So that was kind of that series kind of led to other things opening up and other opportunities. And now I'm getting the opportunity to direct at different local community theaters as well that want to they're like, well, come on in and let's do something different. Let's show something different. And so I'm grateful to be asked to come and be a part.
That's awesome. I mean, thanks for sharing the journey. It's a great segue to the Ephrata Performing Arts Center, who is an organization that has brought you in to direct Six, the teen edition. So I don't know what Six is. Maybe our audience knows, but tell me what Six is, and then let's talk about your, I guess, directorial debut at
EPAC,
Performing Arts Center. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, Six is kind of like a modern retelling of the stories of the six wives of Henry VIII. And it's done though in like a concert type style. So basically they have this competition basically to see who should be the big winner, who should lead the band kind of thing. Based on who was like the worst, who had it the worst under Henry VIII. Because we know that his wives were divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, and one survived. So it's just a retelling, but it's a modern kind of retelling, and the music is just amazing. I think the writers won Tony Awards for the music for the show. So
okay, cool.
Yeah.
So teen edition means that it's teenage performers, I'm assuming.
Teenage performers. And the original show has some spicy double entendres and a few other things that in a New York audience would fly. But with the teen edition, some of that has been changed. So those coming know that some of the lyrics have been tweaked, and some of the songs and rhymes have been changed just a little bit to make it just a little bit more completely family friendly and good for a teen to be able to perform.
That's cool. What unique elements might you be bringing into the show?
Well, because it's a concert, it's like it's nonstop. So like there's no intermission. It is like song after song after song after song. They're tied together by kind of scenelets that introduce the next situation that leads to the next song, but it is non-stop. But we the production team there has just done an incredible job. Anything I could have dreamed up and I asked for, they made it happen. I don't know how, but so when you walk, even just walking in and seeing the lighting and the stage, the way it's set up, all the way to the throne that's on the set, like all of those things were things that I dreamed up, and they made it happen and happen well. So, but bringing in just some of that, the pop sensibility, but also still bringing the heart of the piece too, and making sure that the six women that we're representing there are being honored. It's really cool. And the girls are they're in love with the music and the show, and they are killing it. Like, that's so proud of them. Like, awesome. It's the best cast I could have ever had.
That's cool. So before I miss saying it, I think, Chris, if you could put that graphic back up on the screen, the dates are this upcoming, is that Friday? It's the 7th Friday?
We open
Friday through the 16th. So it's a short run. It's a little over a week, right?
Yeah, two weekends. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah.
That's cool. And tickets are available on the Ephrata Performing Arts Center website.
Yep.
Just, go to their events page, click on 16 edition, and you'll see the ticket links there. I wanted to ask Reji, so you've directed adults, and now you're directing, and maybe you've directed teens in the past. What's it like? Well, I mean, what's the difference in directing kids versus adults?
Well, oddly enough, I think if anything, depending on the age, it's endurance. Like when I'm with the littles, I know I have like a short amount of time to get a lot accomplished.
Yeah. True.
Before they're tired or before
Yeah.
it starts to wonder. And then
Well, kids are busy. I mean,
this
between
day and age,
school and schoolwork and maybe
yeah.
sports and other things. I mean, yeah, you're right.
Well,
There's a short time frame there.
yeah. Yes. And with the teens, it's actually a little bit more it's a little bit more relaxed because I feel that by then they know what their passion is, and if they're doing theater, they want to be there. And so a lot of times they'll sacrifice other things to make sure they're there. So working with them, it's a little bit more relaxed because I can also give a direction and they kind of get it and know where to go. And if they don't, I can easily explain and they can get it quickly, which I love. But one thing I will say that's a through line between all the three levels or ages that I've worked with, is that I don't ever dumb it down based on age. I always call everybody that I work with, if I say you're a young professional or you're a professional, even if it's in a community setting, I treat everybody like so that they know that I trust them and that they're a part of creating this world that people are going to come and see. And if it's just my world, then I won't have buy-in. And if it's just my world, then it can fall flat. But if we're creating it together, then it has life because they're the ones that are bringing those words to life when they breathe life into that when they speak. So a part of them has to be a part of it. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what do you find most exciting about putting the show on at Ephrata Performing Arts Center?
Well, two things, honestly. Working with the team at EPAC has just been incredible, and like seeing everything come from the page to life, and seeing like just that vision come to life is great. But the other thing for me is watching the actors have breakthroughs. Like that's like the coolest thing. Like watching someone like have a hard moment or not quite understand the character, and then they have that aha moment and you see it in their eyes and then it shows in the performance. That's butter. I just love it. Like that's just like the best thing. And I've gotten to see that in this process as well. And so I'm grateful for that.
That's cool. You don't seem like the type of guy that would get like nervous or get jitters about, performing or putting on a show like that. But do you like Friday afternoon? What's Reji feeling like?
From me, if I'm not performing, I'm golden because I feel like I know we're prepared. I know the kids are like just terrific. So like I'm not really nervous even about the show. I'm more concerned with making sure that everyone is feeling good that's in the cast. Now, if I'm performing, that's a whole different ballgame. Oh yeah, and I don't know. I've always been told that if you're not a little bit nervous, you don't care. So I always take that in. But for me, it's like right before, man, the moment before, I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I don't feel well. Oh my gosh. And then the minute the music hits and then I step into the wings and go, it all dissipates. And it's just, I'm in that world. And then I don't feel that afterwards. It's just right before. So, that's just, I'm like, if I don't have that, then I'm like, okay, what's going on? So I'm accepting it.
That's cool. Do you have any like pre-show routine that you go through? I know like sometimes people eat a particular meal or, do a particular thing or whatever. Do you have any sort of like pre-game warm-up?
Yeah, there's three things that I do. So I get like the miniature bag of the Lay's plain potato chips. And it's something with the salt and the oil that just kind of coats everything, especially if I'm singing. I didn't realize that was a thing until I started telling my friends. I'm like, oh yeah, that's an industry secret. I'm like, what? How did I not know that? I just happened to have one and it made it feel better. So I tried it again, and it happened again, and that's been a thing. So yeah, so I do that. I have my vocal mist that I like will put on and hydrate that, and then I listen to a couple songs, but like just kind of in rotation. But the one that I have to listen to last is Eminem's "Lose Yourself," because it just gets me pumped up and ready to go. And yeah, and even if I was like, it was funny because I did Romeo and Juliet with the Classical Theater of Harlem like 2 years ago. Well, 1 or 2 years ago when I first moved to New York, and like my role was not like a hype or role at all, but I had to listen to that. So I'm like, yeah, my first scene is very calm, but I'm in the background. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, so
I love it.
but
I
I had
love
to
it. It's
listen to
like
that song.
I'm a huge baseball fan, and that's like your walk up music. You know, every
Yeah,
batter has their. I mean, that's I love it. "Lose Yourself" by Eminem is
that's
your
my
pre
song.
performance go to. That's
Yeah.
cool. So we talked about what you're excited about. What are some challenges with maybe community theater, just kind of in general, and putting on a show like this? What challenges do you face as a director?
Well, for me, so the hardest thing for me is to visualize it before people are there. So like I know a lot of my friends who direct, I will look in their books and they have like everything outlined to a T. And I'll have like my basic notes for a scene of where I want it to go and what I want to have happen. But I used to be the person that would write it all down, and then it would get there and it would all change, because once you get the chemistry of the people in and get the bodies in, you just never know. And also, with auditions, you're kind of beholden to whoever comes that day to audition, and so it's like putting together the puzzle that makes the best show. So sometimes I think that once you get through the casting process, at least for me, sometimes that's the biggest challenge. But once you get through the casting process, it doesn't feel very challenging, because I I feel very just like fortunate that the cast that I've worked with, they've fit where we put them, and they just excel and exceed. And so my wife always says, she's like, "Well, you have a talent with casting," and I was like, "Well, I don't know. I have a story in my head and I can hear it and I can see it. And when someone comes in the room and they present it, then it's like, it feels like it's like magic." And I'm like, "Okay, well then that's the person." And it normally works out. So I've been very grateful and very fortunate. But that's the hardest thing, is just trying to do that ahead of time, figure all of that out ahead of time before you get the people there. And then also letting go and being flexible to change some things that you were set on, because um, you may be expecting that this character would walk into the door, but it's this person, and they convince you that they're the one. And then so now you kind of have to bend and ebb and flow to like take on their attributes and make them shine the best in the work that's presented. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And I got to think that cast members will make suggestions that might improve the show, and that's something you would need to consider as well, too, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm very much a collaborative director. If there's an idea that doesn't really matter to me where that idea comes from. If it's a good one, we're going to go with it, and it's only going to make the show better. It's only going to make the community better. That we're presenting there. I mean, actually, last year, we have at Ephrata High School, we have like the best custodial staff. And one time our one of our custodians came in and he was like kind of watching it. He's kind of like our theater dad in a way. Now he's kind of like adopted us, but he came in and he had an idea. He was like, "Oh, it would be funny if da 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 da." I was like, that actually would be funny. And we put it in the show. And he was like, he was shocked. And it was like, I never thought that something that I thought of would ever be put on a stage. And I was like, well, it was a great idea. So I'm very much a collaborative director. Like if someone has an idea, I will consider it. I'll always consider it. I may not always do it, but I will always consider it and see if it would work. And if it's the best choice, then we want to serve the show. So
that's so cool. So a good segue to talk about Ephrata High School.
Oh yeah.
So you've got a show. You're directing
Chicago Teen Edition.
Chicago. Yes, Chicago Teen Edition.
Yes.
So that's with Ephrata High School students.
Yes.
And also teenagers, right?
Yep.
So what's the story of Chicago, and what are you bringing to it?
Yeah, well, the story of Chicago. I mean, it's been a Broadway. It's been on Broadway for the longest time, and it's still running today. Which is great. And then we had the blockbuster movie years ago, and but it's primarily about Roxy Hart. It takes place in the 1920s, the Roaring 20s, and where jazz and booze are the thing, though in our production there's not much booze.
Not the Teen Edition.
No. but it's about Roxy Hart who commits a crime, and then she is she's taken to jail, and she sees how she can make a name for herself, because at that time, crime was a hot topic. So if you were infamous, it was just as good as being famous. It sometimes made you famous. And one of the things that we talk with the kids, because I don't think they didn't quite understand the importance of newspapers then. And I was like, so guys, I was like, in the 1920s, if a story splashed on the front page, that was like social media. Newspaper of that time is like social media of today. So I was like, so when you saw somebody with short blonde hair on the cover, many women would go and get the short blonde hair. Or you see a guy in this specific kind of suit, because that was the cool thing to do. People would go and do that, but it was from the paper. Now it's from TikTok or other social media platforms. So, yeah.
That's
That's
cool.
one of the correlations we try to make with the kids.
And this show is the end of March, I believe.
Yes, March 27th through the 29th. Yeah.
And to get tickets for that, I guess go to the Ephrata High School page and find it there.
The ticket link will be up pretty soon now, because we're moving into phase 2 of the show for rehearsals. We try to front load music and dance, and then we move into blocking and piecing the show together, and then we run the mess out of it so that it feels like a second nature, and they don't have to worry about anything. So
that's cool. And do you have a pit band for that?
Yes, we do. And the majority of the pit is actually students.
That's awesome.
Which we absolutely love.
Yeah. Get everybody involved. I love it. So you're obviously extremely involved in the Lancaster arts and theater scene. What excites you the most about what you see going on in Lancaster City, in Lancaster County, related to the arts? Music, theater, everything that you're involved in. What excites you about the Lancaster scene there?
I think there are two things that excite me. The one thing is seeing that there is a place for everyone. There's so many theaters and so many organizations where you can get out and you can perform. You have like Servant Stage, you have Prima Theater, you have EPAC, you have the Fulton, AMT, like so many different places that people can showcase their skills and abilities and talents here. And so it's like a home for everyone who wants a home in the arts. So that's the first thing that I really love. But I also love the fact that there has been a concerted effort to start to work with the next generation of performers that'll be coming. So there's been a really cool shift to focusing on the youth and the teens in our community with theater, as it pertains to theater and with music, and seeing just some of the talent that comes out of this area is just incredible. And I know I feel like we'll have a lot more Jonathan Groffs coming out of the area now because of the training that they're getting.
Yeah, that's so cool. And you're right. I mean, a number of the theaters you referenced, we've had on the show. We've had Primo on the show, of course, EPAC, Sight and Sound. We had on the show a couple years ago. There's kind of maybe a revival of these sorts of places where you can experience the arts, and they're quite popular, and they've been around for years, which is just awesome. And kudos to you and what you've been able to do with your own career, and then of course what you're doing for these kids. I just think it's amazing. I think it's awesome.
Okay, yeah. That's when my heart has just been to share what I've learned and make it easier. The sun is shining in my window, so it's so sorry. Yeah. It's like
the spotlight came on. I mean, right, it's like perfect.
But yeah, just to have the ability to share and to do the things that I didn't have access to when I was a kid. If that makes life easier, there we go. It's just great, because I didn't have growing up. We didn't have those opportunities. We didn't have the Prima Theaters and the Servant Stages, and that catered to youth. So
yeah.
So
That's awesome.
Great to be able to do it now.
So this is the value of an excellent producer. So something we talked about pre-show that I had forgotten about. Chris reminded me just now on the backstage.
Okay.
Later in February, I think you told me, also at Ephrata Performing Arts Center, you're participating in a celebration of the evolution of Black music. I think is the name of the show, correct?
Yep, it sure is.
So tell us about what that is, and actually that leads into kind of my conversation with the group that's putting this on. My conversation with them is next week, so this is kind of a good lead in for that show. So tell us about what you're doing here.
Yeah, well, so the evolution of Black music basically celebrates the contributions of African Americans in music from essentially from Africa to today. So and seeing how music traveled, across the Atlantic into the United States, and then we see the different decades and the different genres of music that kind of bloomed and grew out of that. So you'll get some 60s and 70s and some 80s and 90s and 40s. One of the things that I get to sing in the show, which is very poignant and means a lot to me. I get to sing "Strange Fruit" by Billie Holiday, which is a very stirring and oftentimes heavy song. But Billie Holiday is one of my favorite artists ever, and so
that's cool.
Getting to sing a song that was a staple of hers in the show is kind of incredible. So
that's cool. Is that the only performance you're doing during that show, or
no?
Other...
we all do various. We come in and out of the show in various scenes. So you'll see everybody in the show several times. Yeah,
gotcha. So there's two opportunities to see Reji at the Ephrata Performing Arts Theater. First as a director for 16 edition, February 7th through the 16th, and then in this production of the evolution of Black music, March 21st and 22nd as a performer.
Yes.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah. Anything we missed? Anything you'd like to tell our watchers? I almost said watchers. Watchers or listeners?
Well, I'm trying to think if there's anything. Well, this past weekend, in everything else that I'm doing, I'm also the executive director of the Miss Lancaster County Scholarship Competition and organization. And so Saturday was our big competition this past Saturday. So we just crowned 6 new title holders that'll be competing in June at Miss Pennsylvania and Miss Pennsylvania's T. So so that was a lot of. This past week was kind of full between going to rehearsals for both things and prepping for that show. It was kind of crazy, but it's nice to finally have things settled. But it was a beautiful night and great show.
That's cool.
And we're really excited about the year ahead.
That's awesome. Was that held here in Lancaster?
Yes, it was actually at Ephrata High School in the auditorium.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I mean, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your story on Lancaster Connects. This has been awesome to learn about, your career and of course what you're, like the heart you're putting into these young kids, both at Ephrata Performing Arts Theater and Ephrata High School. It's pretty amazing. I mean, I want to be in one of your shows, just like knowing your passion and you're fueling these young kids. I think it's awesome. I wish you a lot of luck with the upcoming shows and your own performance at the theater later on here in March. So
thank you so much.
Yeah. You have time for a couple other questions?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So, so we talked to Reji, the performer and the director. Now we're going to talk to Reji, the person, maybe get to know you a little bit better here.
Sounds good.
So like if you're not on stage or, behind the scenes, running a show, what do you like to do to unwind here in Lancaster County?
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm often a homebody because I really, really love it. Something that relaxes me and that I love to do is I love to cook. So yeah, that's like a thing for me. And my wife she'll come in and it'll be like in the middle of the night and I'm like chopping carrots. And she was like, "What is going on?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a soup," and so she's like, "Okay." Any particular reason? You're right. Like legitimate. There actually have been times she's like called out from the back and she's like, "Are you cooking something?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "It smells great." I'm like, "All right, good night." Good night. So she's from bed hollering out because she smelled something that I was cooking. I don't know why, but it just relaxes me. I normally put on a book on Audible and get the veggies out and chop, or make a marinade for something. Like, it's just like, I don't know why, but that just relaxes me. And it also makes me feel good too when I get to cook for other people and seeing them like enjoy that meal. It's like, it brings me some joy.
So, I mean, I got to know, in the middle of the night, is it just like you can't sleep and you're like, well, I guess I'm going to go cook? Or like you like get woken up and like, I got to go chop some carrots?
You know what?
I'm
Honestly,
tired.
I'm a late night person. Like,
Okay.
honestly, like I legitimately, if I'm going to bed before 2, it's just because I've done something that we're super tired.
Okay.
So for me, it's like I'll get my around 10 o'clock, once like I'm done with the rehearsals or whatever, I'll get home, and then like I'll have like a burst of needing to take care of whatever on the computer at that time. So I do most of my stuff at night, and then afterwards I'm like still kind of like,
not ready for bed.
not ready to go to bed yet. And I'm like, okay, well, what do we have in there? And sometimes it's kind of crazy, but like I'll be in the middle of the day. Like the first time I made a shepherd's pie, I didn't know how to make a shepherd's pie. I had one, but I was like, oh, I'm going to make a shepherd's pie today. And so I literally just went to the store, bought all the ingredients for it, and just made it. And my wife, she always like laughs, but she's like, okay, where's your recipe? I'm like, I don't have a recipe. And she's like, how do you do that? How do you just toss it in and you toss it in and it tastes great. Now, how do you do that? I'm like, I don't know. I just see it in my head and then I want to make it happen, and I have an idea of how to do it. And so
that's cool. It's a gift. Embrace it, right?
Take it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So maybe, I mean, we just talked about food. Maybe you have a thought here. What is your favorite restaurant here in Lancaster County? You have a favorite restaurant?
Oh, that's a toughie. Because there's different types.
Yep. And you don't want to make somebody feel, worse than somebody else if you don't pick their restaurant,
Right. I will say,
where do you like to go?
I went to a place for the first time last night. In Ephrata. It's called the Nara Cafe. I passed by. I had never seen it before. During the pandemic, it was a different. It was the hilltop, and I had we would go there, and during the pandemic, because it was close to home, and they were open, and so we would, to keep the doors open, we would go and get dinner every like once a week.
Sure.
But it's a new thing, and so I went in, and a friend of mine was like, "Well, I'm gonna go to Nara to get some sushi," and I was like, "There's sushi in Ephrata?" Like, and like, really? Like, yeah, and it's good. And I was like, okay. So we went, and so I went to Nara Cafe, and it's really good sushi. I was so shocked. I was really excited. And it turned out to not let me down. So I'm like, I think I might be going back there very soon and taking my wife. But I think if I was to pick, it's hard to pick one.
It's okay.
If I pick two,
two's cool. Two's cool.
Yeah, Three Sisters. It's a Thai restaurant that's in downtown Ephrata. Amazing, amazing.
Yep. Okay, I like Thai.
And then Tacos El Gordo.
Where's that?
That's like, it's also, funny enough, it's in Ephrata downtown. I was shocked by that, like, because my go-to before then was the Press Room. Like, that was my favorite restaurant. And so when that closed, I was just like, man, like that, because that was my anytime I wanted to go somewhere, I'd go there because I really loved the food there. But then now that I'm spending more time in Ephrata, I've actually started to explore, and like now I found some really amazing restaurants that are right in my back door, which I never would have known about.
That's awesome.
I'm grateful for that. Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, thanks for sharing your favorite food spots. Thanks for sharing a little bit more about what you like to do, cooking in the middle of the night. We all have our things. I love it. I love it. And, thanks for sharing about your journey, your performing journey, your theater journey, your experience on TV, like TV shows that people know. It's so cool.
Yeah. That's how people call me. And there's also a meme. I didn't realize until to my cousin. She was like, I was in a work. She's like a work Zoom or something, and someone was sharing something, and like I guess they were talking, and then they did a group text to the people. I guess, and sometimes on Zoom, people want to talk to each other. And then so there's one of me in my scrubs, and I have a line that I say to Natasha Leone, good luck with that. And I turn my shoulder and tell her that over my shoulder, and she was like, so why is my cousin a meme? And I was like, what are you talking about? So literally, I'm a meme. There's me turning around going, good luck with that. Turning back around.
Good luck with it. Oh, yeah. Chris, we've got 5 minutes. Come on. Chris is furiously behind the scenes trying to find this meme. We got to find it. That's so cool.
It was hilarious. So, yeah.
I mean, what are you more proud of, the meme or the performance of this show? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's so cool.
It's funny to I'm getting phone calls on that sometimes. It's like, okay, great. But she brought it to my attention, and I saw it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is real. Okay, this is kind of funny.
That's got to be a surreal feeling. I mean,
it really was, actually. And my one of my best friends was like, "Yeah, you made it now. You're a meme." I was like, "Okay," and like, at least it's a positive, so I'll take it.
Well, and that's it. Yeah, there's so many that are like, just person caught at the wrong time or whatever. So that's cool. Well, again, thank you for being on Lancaster Connects. Thank you for sharing about who you are and the journey you've been on with theater. And then again, good luck with these shows. We've got Ephrata Performing Arts Center, the show 16 edition. That's here February 7th through 16th. Go to Ephrata Performing Arts Center's website to get tickets. And then again, we've got is it February or March? It's February, right?
The
for
evolution?
the evolution of Black music?
February 21st and 22nd.
February, yep. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
yep.
Yeah.
I just had the 21st and 22nd written down. I wasn't, didn't remember which month. So yeah, there it is right there on the screen. Purchase tickets at the Ephrata Performing Arts Center website. Good luck. So see you as a director with 16 edition and as a performer there with that show. I think that's going to be amazing. And again, I'm talking to Them Collective, who is, are they the ones behind this show, like putting it all together?
Yeah, they created
it. That's cool.
Yeah.
So they're my Lancaster Connects conversation for next week. So I'm excited to talk with them. So I'll name drop you in that conversation. So cool. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be part of our show.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me. It's been pretty incredible. And I want to say real quick before I go, when I saw that Gardeners was attached, I was like over the moon because that's when me and my wife bought our bed.
Oh yes,
like
thank you.
Right before the pandemic, and we love it. That's
awesome.
So we saw that because we had done an exhaustive search, and we kept being told that Gardeners is the place. And I was like, okay, well, let's go look at it. Let's go check it out. And it was awesome. So so when I saw the name, I was like,
thank you.
Awesome.
That's awesome. I appreciate that. Thanks for being one of our customers, and thanks for sharing those kind words. I love that.
Cool.
All right. Well, have a great rest of the afternoon, and have a good rehearsal tonight.
I'll try my best. Well, 2 rehearsals. So
oh my gosh.
Chicago first, and then we run over to 6. So
oh my gosh, I don't know how you keep it straight.
My wife and a calendar.
That's true.
It's gonna be real because she keeps me like on time. So that's
awesome.
Pretty much it.
That's awesome. Well, maybe we'll interview her next time.
Yes, she'd be a good interview.
Cool. All right, man. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Take care. Oh man, that was such a fun show. I mean, we've got like a minute to go. I'm just going to do a quick testimonial here for Gardner's Mattress and More. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to do that because Reji just gave us an amazing testimonial. That's all we need. Appreciate Reji sharing that. I didn't even know he was going to do that. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, that's the testimonial for Gardner's Mattress and More. Again, this business that Jeff and I co-own together allows us to produce a show like this. Again, highlighting amazing people doing wonderful things in the Lancaster community, like Reji Woods. That was a fun conversation. Definitely check out the shows that he's going to be in. Go to his website, go to the Ephrata Performing Arts Center's website. A lot of great shows being put on there. Yeah, RejiWoodsProductions.com. You can see everything that he's doing, which is many, many things. Such a talented guy. I love it. And, Ephrata Performing Arts Center, definitely give their shows a look. If this one coming up is not one that you can do, they've got plenty of events throughout the year that are amazing. So thank you for watching today. Got a great show next week. We've got Them Collective on. Again, they're putting on a presentation called The Evolution of Black Music at Ephrata Performing Arts Center. Towards the end of February, going to have a great conversation with them. And I look forward to connecting with you next time. Until the next connection, have a great day.